What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with DFS bringing you a brand new video. Today's video, I'm going over quarterbacks to target in week 2 for the main slate. So really quick before I get into this, just recap last night's line that I had. Really solid, right? Getting Allen Lazard was definitely the deal breaker here. Captaining Brees Hall helped. Jordan Mason, the breaking news, CMC was out, so you had to play him. But Rodgers, Debo, Garrett Wilson all didn't perform, but having Lazard and Brees as captain, those two kind of helped me there. But yeah, that really solid line. Definitely had one of the better ones last night, so I'll take that one. But yeah, going into the reason you're here. So talked about in the first look, the quarterbacks I'm looking at, right? So out of the most expensive quarterbacks, Anthony Richardson is interesting. You saw what he did against Houston last week, right? 9 of 19 for 212 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, but he had 56 rushing yards and a touchdown. So he got you 11 fantasy points just on the ground yesterday, so 16 in the air, and only 19 pass attempts. We know what Green Bay's defense is. They are a team that just does not play well against running backs, and Anthony Richardson's not a running back, but he's a mobile quarterback, so you kind of like him in the matchup. Plus, it looks like Malik Willis is going to be starting week 2 for Green Bay, so that's something you have to consider, is Indy might be on the field more. So, yeah, Anthony Richardson, 6,800 is kind of that guy I'm looking at that top price. Next after that, 6,600, Kyler Murray against the Rams. You look at his numbers against the Bills, and yeah, 15 points, 6,400. I mentioned on the video last week that, yeah, Kyler's going to have some of those games. Against the Rams, this is probably going to be one of the games that we see Kyler Murray actually have a really good game with, right? Marvin Harrison was not used at all. Trey McBride barely used. It was pretty much a James Conner show for Arizona. This week, I think it's going to be a little different. Obviously, the Rams without Puka, but you're seeing the Rams against the Arizona defense, who just got destroyed by Buffalo. 17-point lead, I think it was, or 14-point lead. They're up like 17-3, I think it was. And they just got destroyed in the second half, right? For that, Kyler in that offense, when you have that big of a lead against a good team, you want to kill as much clock. So it makes sense that Kyler didn't have the greatest. But against the Rams, to where the Rams, with Matt Stafford, they still have Cooper Kupp. They used, they're going to use Denard Robinson, Tutu Atwell still there. They used Parkinson a lot more than I thought. And then Kyren really didn't have a Kyren-type week. So I think this matchup is going to be one to target, is the LA Arizona game at Kyler at 6,600, although he goes up just a little in price. I still think he's a quarterback to definitely target. Jared Goff, right, in this matchup, Tampa and Detroit, this is a very good one here as well. You're getting, Detroit, whose offense was a huge run game set. That's just how they played. Jared Goff just 217, a touchdown, a pick, right? No real rushing upside for Jared Goff. On this matchup where Tampa Bay's pass defense really didn't get tested against Washington, the running backs got a lot of the targets and receiving work. None of the receivers, even tight ends, really did so. But Jared Goff in an offense who Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra were not included in that offensive game script, and they still won, which was impressive, but a very high total on this Tampa-Detroit game. That's why I'm targeting it. Joe Burrow is a name to consider at 6,300 if Chase and Higgins are both good to go. I think it's definitely one to target. We know Burrow's history against Kansas City. You get him at a cheap price, 6,300. It's worth noting, if they're in, I think he's a tournament play. Jane Daniels is again in play for me at 6,200. He's one of the quarterbacks I mentioned was worth playing. Played him on... I did play him on FanDuel. His price was way too cheap on FanDuel, in my opinion. But you look at his numbers. 3 fumbles, which lost him a couple points, right? He didn't lose them, but he fumbled. He got 8.8 just rushing, and then 2 touchdowns. So he got you 20 points on the ground. No passing touchdowns, only in 184 passing yards. So Jaden Daniels was close to the 100-yard bonus. 16 rushing attempts and 2 touchdowns, facing a Giants defense and a Giants team that is very bad. My only concern is the defensive line for the Giants is better than Tampa Bay's, so I don't know if we see Jaden Daniels get as much explosive rushes, but nonetheless, his rushing upside makes him a target. Next, Matt Stafford. I mentioned Kyler Murray at 6,600. Matt Stafford, even though Puka's not there, we've still seen Stafford be efficient without Puka. Him and Cooper Kupp had a really good connection. 49 pass attempts, gets a 300-yard bonus, only 1 touchdown. That's probably the concerning thing with Matt Stafford and the way the offense is right now, is how good Kyren Williams is in the red zone. His passing touchdown, isn't what it used to be, so that's something that's concerning, but it's still worth noting. And then Baker Mayfield again, right? He is the reason I cashed in week 1. Baker and Mike Evans. Baker in another really good spot to where we just saw Stafford throw for 317, right? Didn't get the passing touchdowns, but 69% completion percentage. Baker Mayfield, hell of a week 1, right? Almost got the 300-yard bonus, 4 touchdowns and 21 rushing yards. So Baker does have a slight rushing upside. I'm not going to say he's a mobile quarterback, but Baker isn't afraid to take off every now and then. So he's definitely worth considering at 5,900. We continue to go down. Justin Herbert against Carolina is worth noting for tournament play, not really cash. But the other one is going to be Justin Fields, Russell Wilson against Denver. I don't think it's a cash play, but I think it's definitely worth getting a tournament play, especially if it's Russ against Denver. Playing his former team that cut him, and that contract is killing that franchise for 2 seasons. So that's definitely worth noting. I don't like to mention it, but Daniel Jones 5,300 against Washington. Just mention of what Baker was able to do. Washington doesn't have, the best pass rush anymore. Daniel Jones is known for getting rushing upside. But it's worth noting he did have 42 pass attempts week 1. It is worth noting it was against Minnesota's defense. Brian Flores' defense. This is a Dan Quinn defense, essentially. Is it the best? No, but it's Daniel Jones, so he's worth mentioning. Malik Willis down here at 5K against Indy. This one's also worth mentioning, but I think they're going to rely upon the run too much to really love Malik Willis. Do I want some shares of him? Sure, but I don't think it's really worth going after, right? And then Lamar, 9.5 point favorites, I think, against Vegas. I don't love it, right? You get Max Crosby and Wilkins against this offensive line, and it is concerning. You're hoping that offensive line can perform, and Lamar balls out through the air. Mahomes against Cincy. This one isn't bad either. Mahomes, obviously, week 1 against Baltimore. Really good pass defense. Still 71% completion percentage. Almost gets the 300-yard bonus. And only 1 passing touchdown, but against Cincy, I do like it, right? Hoping Chase and Higgins is in and that game is good. Other than that, there's not a whole lot of matchups I'm targeting, so I will have all of this updated in my weekly spreadsheet, so if you guys are interested in that, interested in joining us, click the link in the description for our Discord. If you guys enjoy the content, please leave a like and subscribe. That means a lot to me. Been getting a whole lot of support this season. I do appreciate it. I'm just going to try to continue to put out as much quality content as I can for you guys, and hopefully you guys get some knowledge out of it. Either you're playing with me or you're fading me. Whatever helps you win money in the end, I hope it does help. So I will see you guys in the next one.